Wonderful. So, how's everybody doing on Saturday?
Yeah.
We're chilling, we're having a good time?
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's my easy day today. I'm just simply here vibing. So, welcome to Wig Styling 101. Think of this as the Wig Stylist Starter Pack panel. I have a weird and potentially intimidating amount of random junk next to me. I promise they all have a reason. You don't need all of these things, but I like to have them just in case. And depending what wig tips you want to know about, I'll be taking suggestions from you guys on what to do with our guinea pig here.
Oh no.
To best demonstrate things that you would like to learn about wigs. And I can kind of give you what tips and tricks and know-how that I happen to have in my mental toolbox. For those of you that don't know anything about me, I'm uptowncosplay. I've been cosplaying for about 12 years now. I've always styled my own wigs, and the learning curve is always there. I'm always constantly learning new things. There's new techniques and materials and products that are coming out all the time, so you're never going to know everything, no matter how long you've been cosplaying, or if you've just started, or you think, yeah, I've mastered wigs, I've tamed that beast. You probably haven't, just for now. There'll be something new that comes along the way and you'll go, I want to try that next. So this is just a culmination of things that I've learned over the years and things that have helped me a lot. So this wig is a junk wig that I ordered as a potential wig for a cosplay that I hated the color of. And so I'm not using him for anything, which means he gets to just be whatever we want him to be.
He gets to be potential.
Yeah, endless potential. The world is our oyster here. It's a clean canvas. So basically, whatever you guys want to learn, for whatever I have at my disposal, that's what this is here for. This base wig gives us a little bit of an unfair advantage. This is not sponsored, however, most of my wigs are from Arta Wigs. This is an Arta Wigs base. This is a Jaguar in the color Lemon Drop, I believe. I like this wig as a base wig for a lot of different styles because it has a lot of potential. It's got a little bit of a mullet potential back here, but you can cut it shorter if you need it a little bit shorter at the nape of the neck, or you can have it long. It's very fluffable. It's got teasing already built in to the roots of the wig, so it has a lot of uppy potential. It's got a lot of gravity defiance already built in. So we'll talk about logistics of that if you want, but for now, this is our canvas. What do we want to know? We can start off with a lot of basics. We can talk about best ways to cut a wig. How do you take length off without making it look super blunt or really choppy? That's typically where I like to start. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, scissors. Stop using your kitchen scissors. Please. I'm begging you. Especially if you're learning how to cut wigs, basic, normal, like office scissors, they're not meant to handle with dexterity. You need control when you go in for a wig, in most cases. Unless you've got a wig this long and you need it to end up this long, sure, grab your garden shears, I don't care. Get 90% of the length off and it doesn't matter, but then you're gonna need something with a little bit more finesse to go in and get your details. Get hair scissors. They are hair scissors for a reason. They're so useful for hair. They're itty bitty babies. You can get them anywhere. You can go to a grocery store, go to a pharmacy, go to a convenience general store, whatever whatchamacallums. Normal scissors, they're just blades. They're very sharp. You will snip yourself by accident if you're not careful, so be careful. I hardly ever use them. They're here as a formality. This is the good stuff. These are thinning shears. I hardly ever use a normal pair of hair scissors anymore because this is where the money's at, baby. What's nice about these is that one side, typical blade, the other side has teeth built in where it cuts some hair, not all of it. It's very hard to get a blunt cut by accident with these. That's kind of why they're nice. I recommend them a lot, especially if you're just starting out or if you're looking to get more feathered edges for your wigs, more PC, more natural looking hair for your cosplay. These are the ones. So, we want to cut off length. Where do we want to start? Bangs, perhaps?
Yeah.
Bangs, so we're not poking ourselves in the eyes constantly. That could be a good place.
Bangs are a pain to do.
Bangs are a pain. I tell you, my first wig from eBay for my first cosplay back in 2012. Man, it did its best. Salute. But boy, did I botch those bangs. Straight across in the front. It didn't poke me in the eyes, but did it look cute?
No.
It sure didn't. we don't talk about her. So we want to cut off length, but we don't want it to be super blunt. We want to get some of this excess off. 4 bangs if you're starting off with wigs, and probably a good ways into styling wigs unless you're very bold and brazen. I would recommend putting a wig on before you even do anything, and mark, say, with a bobby pin or with a little clip. You can get clips anywhere. You can get big ones like these. You can get tiny ones that have little teeth in them. For big time wig styling, I do recommend getting ones like this. They have joints in them. These are great. These were from, where was it? Walmart? Yeah, you can get a pack of like a bunch of these for not that much. They're great because you can pick up a whole bunch of hair and clip it, and because it has the joint in it, it can go over a big chunk of hair. So they're great for long wigs. So 10 out of 10, recommend. We don't need them right now. So I'm gonna be throwing things a lot. I won't throw scissors. Okay. I don't think.
Already had
I did actually just do that. You're right. I'm a liar.
You did state it before, so you technically didn't lie.
You're so right. I love that. So, my best advice for getting less blunt, more feathered edges for your cuts is to go with the direction of the hair. Instinct is to, well, I want them this short, so let's just go in. Please don't. Please don't. Be nice to yourself. You'll like yourself better this way. Start a little bit closer to the ends and go more with a vertical direction of your cuts. So if you go in with your thinning shears, you can start to cut. It takes a few tries. Then you'll start to see hair coming off. We have a shorter piece now, but it's in layers. So it's not chunky, it's not blunt. So we have a little bit of shortness here now, but it doesn't look choppy. So this is a good way to kind of slowly but surely work your way up without getting too carried away and going absolutely crazy. So go with the hair, go in with your thinning shears. We're getting rid of length. We're at like nose tip length now, but it's very, very smooth. It blends, it kind of tapers the hair this way. If you don't happen to have thinning shears, you can still do the same technique with normal scissors. There's nothing wrong with them. They're a good starter for sure. Still go in vertical, only cut a little bit at a time. Don't go like, don't put a full force grip in there or you're gonna lose a lot more hair than you think you're going to because these are incredibly sharp. So you can kind of, it's hard to see, but with the normal scissors, we've cut hair off. You can see a little bit of choppiness here. It's not much, it's a tiny bit. Thinning shears, you can barely see it at all. It's just a really nice feathered end. Another way you can take length off if you want a little bit more layering to it, if you just have scissors like this at your disposal, you do the saw technique. People do this in normal hair salons, we do it for wigs all the time. You will have to brush your hair out afterwards because the friction is gonna make it kind of like frizz up a little bit. It's easy to comb out, don't worry about it. Take your hair, take your scissors, close them a little bit around your wig. I usually go in, you can go in from the top, the side, the bottom, and just start kind of doing a little like mini cut motion with your hands and just go back and forth a little bit and kind of cut on like the down motion. And you're kind of sawing the hair off in layers. So we're losing hair, boom. But now it's kind of made some shorter layers on the outside, while your underneath layers are still long because you haven't cut all the way through them yet. So if you're looking to add layers, I find this technique is really useful for doing like face framing pieces, where you want to bring something a little bit closer to your face to like help frame it, give you that illusion of like maybe a like more narrower face structure or just kind of elongate those features. But you don't want just like the blunt hair. Some anime characters have that, in which case, go to town, that's fine. But I find it useful for that. It's really useful for bangs, things like that. And also it's good for like the end of spikes too, just so that you get a nice like tapered tip to them. I typically find thinning shears are the fastest for doing stuff like this. So vertical cuts, work your way across. I go in a little bit of a diagonal sometimes. If you want to even it out, go in at a diagonal from the other side. Just start getting a little bit more of those like feathered pointed cuts. Work your way through. Don't mind the weird squeaking that this is doing. It's styrofoam. There's nothing I can do. But so now we're starting to get bangs. We're getting bangs now. So still a little bit long. It's giving Howl from Howl's Moving Castle at the moment. A lot of typical characters will have the stereotypical anime boy bangs, right? Where they'll have that piece in the middle that just goes, look at my nose. Look at the tip of my nose. Do you see it? Eyes right here. There's that one. And then you get the shorter pieces around the eyes. Then you get the longer pieces that go and frame your face. So easy to do with thinning shears. We've already basically got the start of like a long piece right here. Start finding your section. You go, okay, here's our little piece that's gonna go above our left eye. Let's take that. Put our fingers a little above where we want to be because we don't want to be bleeding on our wigs today. Let's not do that. Vertical cuts. Start taking off some more length. Comes off in little bits. It's nice and piecey. There's still going to be pieces that are probably too long because it's designed to not take everything at once. You can go in and just kind of hack off the long pieces with these. You can do that. Take off the extras. Comb it through. So now we've got our little long middle piece. We're getting some shorter layers for the eyeballs so we can see what we're doing. Not run into people. Maybe we're wearing a big prop and we want to be able to be spatially aware. We can do that now. We can see again. So yeah, so this is what's going to help you kind of get that very kind of natural feathered look that you'll see in like some more like modern like animes with really high budget animation, or this is kind of the style of wig styling that's just like in nowadays, the very natural kind of like feathery fluffy look to it. If you're cosplaying something from like a visual novel or something, they love this art style. It works really well for that. All kinds of things. And whatever style you like your wigs to look like, go for it. If you like a very screen accurate, chunky spikes, it's very like, you almost look two-dimensional, like you stepped out of the screen. There's definitely ways to achieve that, for sure. But for ways to take length off that still give you room to play, this will and always will be my recommendation. So as we're giving ourselves some bangs to play with, what else do we want to know about? What's tickling your fancy? Yes?
Spikes.
Spikes! A classic! Absolutely, let's talk about spikes. Excellent. So, spikes. So many different kinds of spikes. There's, let's see, give me a character example, like
Goku.
Cloud. Yeah, Cloud from Final.
Jinx from Teen Titans.
Yes, so many classic characters that we know and love have that like spiky, gravity-defying hair. How do you get there? Because gravity doesn't work that way. Lots of ways. So, the basics of wig anatomy, it's made of plastic, right? This is not real hair. You can get real hair wigs. They will not styled the same way. Just know that. You style them very differently than a typical cosplay wig. These are made of plastic fibers that hopefully, in most cases these days, are to a certain extent heat resistant. Heat is going to be your best friend because heat is going to be what changes the memory of these plastic fibers and makes them think that they were always destined to be in a different shape than they started. We're gaslighting the wig into being what we want. That's really what wig styling is. We're gaslight, gatekeep, girl bossing our wigs into place. So for spikes, the first thing you want to do is achieve volume. So for volume, there's lots of different ways to do it. My favorite way lately involves one of these bad boys. This is a crimping iron. We love these. Most of everything you see here is probably from Walmart, Daiso, or Amazon. If you want recommendations for where I got certain things, feel free to ask me after and I'll tell you. But crimping iron, easy, from Amazon. Arta wigs are really nice because they're very heat resistant. And I'm not a patient person. So the more heat resistant they are, the better, because it means I can turn the temperature up and not worry about it. So while you're learning the heat resistance of your wigs, don't go big first. Start small, work your way up. I've worked with an Arta wig before, so I know I can put this bad boy on high and it's gonna be fine. But start off on usually a low or medium heat, whether it's on your hair dryer, your flat iron, your crimping iron, your curling iron, your clothes iron, I don't know, whatever iron. Start slow, work your way up. So we're gonna let that bad boy heat up. Other tool I would recommend having for this is a brush of some type. I would recommend a teasing brush. He's got souvenirs on him already. This thing's also from Amazon. This so far has been the best teasing brush I've ever used, and it has been a game changer for me. Things you want to look for with a teasing brush. So with a teasing brush, the point of it is to create friction that's going to make your hair look disgusting. It gets worse before it gets better. This is a classic case of trust the process. A good teasing brush needs to have more than one material involved in it. This one has plasticky bristles that are a little bit longer, and also has something closer to boar bristle hair that's a little bit shorter that surrounds all of those. The different materials of those bristles is what's going to create additional friction and make teasing go a lot easier and a lot faster for you. So I like to use this in conjunction with a crimping iron. It's a style preference. Some people really like and really dig that crimped texture of hair that's kind of a nod back to classic scene days or something. If you're into that, that's great. You can crimp the hair, let it cool down first to keep that texture, and then work from there, and that's fine. I typically find that crimping, for my wigs, I like it because of the benefits it gives for volume, not necessarily for the aesthetic. So you can keep crimping really, really soft to where you barely notice it. This wig is crimped, but you probably wouldn't guess, at least from 5 feet away. You'd have to get really up close to see it because we've softened it as we went. I kind of ditch styled this in 15 minutes in the hotel room this morning. Don't look too close. Anyway, so we're being careful. Okay, he's warm. So let's do some spikes. Typical place to do spikes is typically top of the head, back of the head, maybe do some fun little volume back here. Let's go back here where the fun is. Party in the back. Okay. So I love this base wig, the Jaguar, because it's already got so many fun layers to play with, which means I don't have to do anything unless I want to. So to start with this, typically what you want to do with crimping wigs is you want to start kind of low in your layers on your wig. So we can take some of this hair and make it go away. We're gripping, we're grabbing, we're clipping. Okay, so we've got some under layers to work with. So we're dual wielding. Crimping iron, teasing brush. When I go in with a crimping iron, the typical way to do it is just pick up some hair, grab it, start going, right? If you want to minimize the look of the solid horizontal lines of a crimping iron, same strategy as with your scissors, go vertical. It's still gonna give you a little bit of that texture and that extra air, sort of, that we're putting into the wig by adding this texture into the fibers, without giving you the harshness of the lines. So, go into it a diagonal is typically what I'll do. Your hand will get tired. Just know that. So you want to go down, and already, if you can see, that's a crimp texture, right? It's crimped. You don't have to leave it that way. See, the key, heat is your friend, right? While it's hot, it's malleable. You could do whatever you want to it. So if you crimp your hair, I like to go back a little bit over it to almost stagger the lines and make them blend together and almost run over each other, because that helps kind of confuse that shape a little bit. And then while it's still hot, set this bad boy down, take this really lightly. You barely have to do anything. Give it just a tiny little back comb. Let it sit for just a couple seconds. Let it cool a little bit. It looks like candy floss. It looks like a bird's nest. We want that. We want the bird's nest. And then just brush it back out. And so already, we have a frizz ball. We love the frizz ball. The frizz ball has so much more volume. See how flat those layers were before? I can twist the ends of this now and it's already a spike. There's no hairspray. Easy. This is the shortcut. These are the hacks. I love this trick. So for sometimes, if you're just trying to add volume and you want like some spike-y definition, but you want this a little bit softer than this might be going too hard for you. And you're like, oh God, it looks like candy floss. It's cotton candy. This isn't what I wanted. Oh God, what do I do? It's okay. You can calm it down. He's your friend. I don't really use straight irons for wigs anymore because this kind of is my one-stop shop. Just pinch the hair really lightly with this and run through it like it's a flat iron, because then the teeth aren't gonna show. It's just putting the very edge of all of these against the wig and smoothing it out a little bit. So you can still go through, calm this down a little bit. You can take a comb, you can take a brush, run through it a little bit, and it's a lot softer now. From a distance, you would not be able to see that this was crimped. Up close, you can kind of see it a little bit. But what you can do too, this can just be the inside of your spike. This doesn't have to be all of the hair that you use for this. You can take some of the hair from these layers, and when you start going in with hairspray, you incorporate this into your spike, and then crimping where? Crimp where? We don't see him anymore. It's a lie, it's an illusion. He just becomes the core of the spike. It gives you the fluff, it gives you the structure and the volume, but then you can always smooth something a little bit more finessed over top of it to where you don't even have to know how this happened. How did we get here? It's a mystery. So we can do that as a method. If you want to finesse the shape of your spikes, thinning shears, my favorite. Go in. I typically will do the crimping and like the heat work on a spike before I do a lot of the cutting. Because once you crimp something, technically you're taking a fiber that was straight and you're putting bends in it, which makes them shorter. If you pre-cut and then you do your crimping, suddenly your spike that was supposed to be this long is now this long. And especially if you're doing something like bangs, that's the difference between having cool anime boy emo bangs and having a botched bowl cut. That difference can mean the world sometimes. So you can take off a little bit of this extra, finesse it. You can work with this a little bit and decide, okay, maybe I want to turn this into a couple different spikes. You can kind of section the hair a little bit. What's nice about crimped and like teased wig hairs is that it's like a sculpture. It's like working with very fluffy, lightweight clay. You can just kind of move stuff and then it stays out of your way. It's a lot more easy to work with. So maybe we decide that down here on the bottom of the wig, we just want texture and we just want a little bit of like, a little bit of flip, a little bit of lift in the hair. We don't want something super duper defined. Or maybe we want something really, really structured. If we want structure, you can go in, maybe something up top here in the back. Crimping iron, go in our diagonal, start going at it. You can go back. You can also change your angle of your crimping iron. Go at it at the other diagonal, confuse it even more. Crimp lines, we don't know. It's just a weird, kind of bunched up mess, but that's what we want. Okay, while it's warm, teasing brush. Maybe we want extra volume here at the back, so we go a little bit harder with the teasing. Bird's nest. Blow on it like a birthday cake. Cool it down, let it think about itself and its life choices, and it goes, you know, for a long time I thought I was a straight wig fiber. Maybe I'm not straight. Maybe I'm bendy. And then you let it cool down and let it have its little midlife crisis, and you go, that's it. See, you were always this way. And then you start brushing it back out now that you've convinced it that its whole life has been a lie. Brush it out. Whoop-de-doo, we've got candy floss. And it's crazy, and potentially a little bit too crazy, but it's much easier to kind of tone back sometimes than it is to continually try to like ramp it up when you don't quite know how to get somewhere. So if it's a little bit too crazy, maybe the core of this is right and we want like a nice dramatic spike here at the back, but the outsides of it are really like, they've been shaped weird because we just bunched it up with a teasing brush. What do? You can just take some of the hair from the outside of it, go in with your warm iron of choice, not a flat clothes iron, that was a joke. Smooth it out a little bit, calm it down, let it sit around the outside while it cools to realize, you know what, maybe not all of me is bendy. Maybe I can be straight sometimes. And you can just go around the perimeter of your spike. Smooth this out a little bit, calm it down. Tiny bit from underneath. The underneath is typically the underneath and the inside is what you typically need to be a little bit crazier just to hold it a little bit. You can smooth this out a little, but we're keeping the inside a hot mess because the hot mess is there for support. It's moral support for your spike. It needs the emotional support friend to enable its new shape. So now we have something much calmer, but we've still got a lot of extra volume back here that we didn't have before. And so you look at this and go, okay, I've got my volume now. I've got it in the place I want. It's a little too long, maybe, if you want to calm it down a little bit. Take your thinning shears, bring this back down. Let's take a little bit of extra length off. Vertical cuts. Keep it kind of wispy. Because listen, nothing is harder than making a spike on blunt cut hair. The square ends are not going to want to suddenly turn into a point. It's not conducive. So logistically speaking, it's going to be a lot easier to mold this into a point if everything else in it is also starting out as a point. It's just points coming together. One big family of pointy things. Take off a little bit of length. We calm this down a little bit. So you've got the basics of your spike. This is like a really big spike, but I feel like it's easier to see that way. So you could make this smaller and scale it however you need it for whatever purposes you're going for. So here it is. You can mess with it a little bit, give it the ends a little bit of a twist with your fingers to kind of get an idea of what you're looking at. The underneath of this still seems long because it's not joining with the rest of it. So you can take a little bit off the bottom. Sometimes it'll join up a little bit more snugly at the end if the inside is a little bit shorter because it's not having to work around quite so much mass. You can take a little bit of this frizz ball from the inside and just cut a little bit of this bulk out at the ends. And try not to snip off your fingers. You don't want that. That's too much stress at a convention. Perfect. So you have the basics of your little spike here, and you go, okay, so I have it here. I've got the length, I've got the hair. It's kind of sort of doing what I want. But maybe the shape of it isn't quite right. Maybe I want it to curve more. Maybe the character has really like flippy hair, and you want this to go more like this maybe. Maybe it's more of an uppity spike. Heat's your friend. You have a couple different options here. You can go straight at it with the blow dryer, which is kind of the classic method, where you would take your blow dryer. You can use it this way. I'm going to give you my little preference. Get a blow dryer with a diffuser on it, because these bad boys what's nice about these, I'll show you a comparison actually. If you turn this on raw, well, there goes all my hard work. And then you're sad, and then maybe you're like 90% done with your wig, and you go, and you blast this thing, and then your wig is like everywhere you didn't want it to be, and then you're sad, and you have to start over again. Now, if you go at it with a diffuser, yeah. That's the good stuff. It doesn't go anywhere. It diffuses the airflow. It spreads it out, but you still get heat out of it. So you can imagine with a really elaborately styled wig, maybe you've got really tiny, piecey little spikes everywhere. You've sculpted your bangs to frame your eyeballs and like a mask prop that you're wearing such a specific way. Don't ruin it just by blow drying it. You'll be so sad. The diffuser is going to be your best friend. So you can go at this with a diffuser. You can turn it on, again, start with your low/medium heat, work your way up, be careful, test this on a spot of your wig that's maybe not right here where you can see it. If you don't know, try it on like a spot in the back or something that people aren't gonna see in case your fibers just like melt on you, which has happened. Yeah, you know. So you can use heat, use your hands to hold it where you want it, to keep this up. Heat it up from all sides. Get it warmish, and then don't just let go, because again, it needs to cool to be properly gaslit into shape. So give it a second to cool down. Some blow dryers have a cooling setting, which will speed up this process for you. It's usually a button somewhere. It's not a switch, it's like a button that you can just like hold down. You can keep holding this and then just switch to cold air to just freeze blast this into place, and then you don't have to waste your time doing this whole song and dance, which is fine. But eventually, when it's cool, we have a little bit of shape. It's a little something. This can work just fine for a lot of purposes. I don't know what kind of chocobo looking dude but it's fine, it works. I don't know, there's a dude in Genshin for that. We all know the one. So you can use the hairdryer for this, and that's totally fine. I have found my new love and life in wig styling is the steamer. I love a steamer. Yeah, we're throwing parties in the back of the steamer. So this guy, I find, is good for a lot of different things, because the dry heat from a hairdryer is fine. It gets the job done. Wet heat from a steamer gets it done faster, harder, better, stronger, in so many ways. It's truly, I felt like I ascended to godhood when I found this thing and started using it on wigs. I was like, is that how all the cool, hot cosplayers are doing their wigs? And now I just use a steamer for everything. So I find, for me, hairdryer, it still has a place in my wig styling kit. What I use it for is for setting. It's like one of my last steps that I do. It's my get the hairspray to stay where I want it tool. To do the preliminary shaping of something and taming wig hair into a certain shape, that's what the steamer's for. And then the hairspray and the hairdryer combination dual wielding comes after. So don't mind the small airplane taking off back here. He's just doing his job. He's trying his best. He's doing his thing. But in the meantime, a good example to showcase how powerful this thing is. While I'm waiting for this to heat up, I'm just going to enhance some of the layers that are back here by taking a little bit of extra bulk out, giving it a little additional layers with the thinning shears. Because let's say we want some defined spikes in here, but we also want to kind of mix it up with something a little bit more natural. A little bit au naturel. Give it some flippiness without being perfectly styled and shaped in every sense of the word. We're adding. He's working on it. He's trying his best. He's got stage fright. He says, "Oh my God, I've never heated up a wig at a con before. I've heard stories about these panels and workshops and stuff." Okay, he's almost there. When it gets quiet, that's usually when it's close.
In the meantime, do you have a YouTube?
I sure do. Do I have my business cards? I do, actually. That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
I meant to put these out for my other panel as well, and I didn't do that. But, oh, hi, Steamer. He's awake now. For anybody who wants to, at some point, I have business cards. All my social medias are on there. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram as Uptown Cosplay.
The Halo TV show getting.
So here's this bad boy. We're steaming. Be very careful. This thing's very hot, obviously. It gets wrinkles out of clothes and it gaslights your wigs. So let's say we're trying to shape this spike into something a little bit more dramatic. You don't have to use this brush attachment. I just think he's fun. I don't know. Just start holding this into a shape and start steaming it. You don't have to necessarily even get this close to the wig. The steam is what's going to do it, not necessarily the contact of the steamer. Already, look how much more uppity and happy this guy's looking. Let's say we want the curve even more dramatic. We want this to sit closer to the head, but we still want this part to be fluffy. Hit it with the steamer, flatten it out. Be very careful not to burn your hands. Okay, he's a little flatter. Curve him up a little bit from back here. Make sure it cools off. Wow, look at him. Isn't he cute? Isn't he happy? Look at him! Look at him, he's living his best life. And so maybe we want some more uppity layers back here. Just start lifting and steaming, buddy. The lift and steam. Now, if you want to go absolutely hard with this, the best thing to do, which well, maybe I could, actually. It would be a great example. Let me showcase, if I can get this off of this. Excuse me, pardon me. I'm moving you for a moment. Calm down. You really want to go hard with this, and you want
Volume.
You want no gravity. No gravity in sight.
Oh.
Yeah! Oh, you know what's about to happen. You know where this is going. Do I look like a diabolical mastermind? Because that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Where are the codes?
My secret lair. It's just full of creepy mannequin heads. This is kind of why I like the brush attachment on this. Not every steamer has it, but so many of them do. Just to kind of help me kind of like brush through this a little bit. Stop dripping. Calm down. Okay. Okay, so he's been steamed. He's a little bit damp. But hey, we have a friend. Let him think about it. Let him simmer. Let him sizzle. Yeah. Let the wig brain thoughts rush to his head and go, I was always uppy. And now,
Cute.
oh, he's fluffy. And look what still stayed. He's also still here. And remember, no hairspray has been used yet. That is the power of a good crimping iron, some teasing, and a little bit of heat. It does wonders. So now we've got so much volume. How fun. And I'm putting this back because I don't want the convention to be sad at all of this wig hair everywhere. Yeah. Okay.
Like a 20-second saucy wig.
So that's kind of like the basics of how to get some shape to your spikes. If you want something that's kind of more natural, I've been getting more into like some of like the piecier, more feathery, kind of like gently styled wigs that look a little bit more like a realism version. Those are not the right scissors. These are. I saw that way that cut looked and I was like, whoa, you're not the fitting shears I know. So we'll take a little bit of extra layers and the length off. So, I wish these weren't so squeaky, but it is what it is. It's fine.
It adds to the experience.
It adds to the experience, exactly. This is just the authentic, immersive VR wig stylist den simulator game that we're now all simultaneously dreaming at the same time. It's a figment of your imagination. Sorry, I'm supposed to gaslight wigs, not you. So if you've got something a little bit like this, but you still want some definition, but a little bit more like layered, a little bit piecier, I do still like to go in with the crimping iron, just to give it a little bit of extra sculptural quality to it. And then you can just brush through this after you've crimped if you just want a little bit of extra floof without the crimp texture. You don't have to add the whole teasing shebang if you don't want all of that. Because sometimes that's more than you need. And then you have to start worrying about toning something back, and sometimes maybe you either don't have the mental spoons for that, or you just don't have time if you're con crunching. Maybe you're in your hotel room and it's 2 a.m. and all you want to do is have a Pop-Tart and go to bed. We've all been there. I heard that laugh. That was the laugh of, we have to laugh, because otherwise it would be sad. Trust me, I speak from personal experience. We have all been there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's 3 a.m. and you're trying to get the cat not stuck in the paint for the jacket.
That's so true. Yeah. Oftentimes I feel like it is a cat that's involved somehow.
Or you're staring at the embroidery, she's like, hurry up and finish.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally watching paint dry, but the thread version.
Or you're waiting for the bobbin thread to say, I'm done.
Yep. Or you've just stitched your entire cosplay, then you look down and go, my bobbin ran out. I gotta go do that. I gotta do that again. Oops.
But it's been like 10 minutes.
Exactly. And you're like, I've been here for 5 hours. It's been 10 minutes. Or you're like, I've been here for 30 minutes. It's been 8 hours.
Suddenly you're hungry, you've got to pee.
Or you realize, I'm not hungry, but when did I eat last?
Yeah.
Yesterday at lunch?
Yeah.
Did I sleep yet?
Yeah, I stood up, and why am I seeing little fairy lights everywhere?
Well, back to the wig.
Yeah, well, that can't be anything important. I'll go back to wig styling. There's always something. It's okay, we're sharing these stories because we know better now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we're all saying this as a joke. Right?
Yeah, because I slept last night.
Yeah, you slept. Right?
Yeah.
Good. I'm so proud of y'all. Look at us learning and growing.
Sometimes I'm really critical, but I do try to tell the new cosplayers that.
Yeah, listen, do as I say, not as I do. I'm only just recently practicing what I've been preaching for years, so. But I can tell you from personal experience, 10 out of 10, turns out, weird concept, food and water, the stuff that keeps you alive, if you add that to your conventions experience, it gets better. It's super weird.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all have been like onto this yet, but like, turns out, food is so good.
Especially in this heat.
Please replenish your moisture. We're all sweating buckets. It's just, it is what it is.
Check the forecast too.
No, I won't check the forecast. I checked it once and I was traumatized. I'm not willing to relive that.
Gaslight yourself, it's 70 degrees.
Yeah.
70 degrees.
It's 70 degrees, it's overcast, chance of showers, we're driving.
But it won't cause anybody's makeup to run.
No, not at
It's
all.
polite
Because we're going to be
showers.
inside the whole time with really good air conditioning that's both not too much and not enough. Yeah, it's
Just-
fine. So, we can add some crimping. We're a little bit frizzy, but it's a little bit easier to kind of work with now. It's a little bit more happy to be sculpted in the direction that I want. And you can calm this down, you can go harder if you want. You can finesse this with more trims if you would like. Yes.
How do you combat frizziness?
How to combat frizziness. So,
Well, especially in like a wig you might have bought a few years back, and it's been a while since you've been to con, so it might have
Yeah.
been just staying in its bag for a bit.
oh my god, the one I'm wearing? Yeah, bestie, I just did this like 3 hours ago. So,
Sounds about
The last one you went to go flying.
we talked about this. We're in public now, you can't do this to me. He won't be doing that again. So, combat frizziness. Let's say you've over-frizzed and you're like, oh god, what do I do now? So, Great News, the steamer is so good at that. It's so good at that. Especially if you do a lot of long-wigged cosplays. Yeah.
My next one's 50 inches. It's an R wig from Arda.
Yup.
Yup.
I've got one for 8
Yup.
Be careful.
We gotta
When it
take
goes
care
all
of this
down,
wig soon.
The cord is like right on the floor.
Thank you. Please have a steamer if you do a lot of long wigs. It's really, really useful. I also just learned recently, last night was my test run of this. I was Grell from Black Butler last night for the 18 plus lip sync. And that wig goes down to like here.
It looks amazing.
Thank you. It was not hard to detangle after because I crimped it. I know, it's crazy. I was like, oh, crimping, it helps with like making frizz and like making a spike. How could it possibly help with tangle issues? Don't ask me the science, all I know is it works. It was very light crimping. I did the like diagonal thing, go back down, go back over it. It took me hours, dude. It was so much hair, but it was worth it. And so, yes, it got tangled underneath where you get a lot of friction at like the back of your neck and stuff, but like, did not take long to comb out. I had a wide tooth comb, just start from the ends, work your way through it. Took minutes.
Do you think it would work for a curled or a waved wig?
Maybe. I haven't done a lot with crimping plus curling.
Yeah,
So,
he looks very.
yes. Yeah, I would say, I don't see why not. Because with the crimping, I feel like if you crimp the fibers first,
And then,
get the texture, and then just shape it into your curl shape, it's got kind of the best of both worlds that way. Just make sure you have that wide tooth comb on you. You're going to want that.
there's 4 of them.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you're going to have so much fun with that. Yes.
What's your opinion on using like a mesh to hold like a long ponytail or a long braid?
So smart. So smart, dude. I've been considering actually doing that for my Aether wig from Genshin Impact, of doing like individual little like tulle or like mesh tubes basically on each segment of his braid, braiding those together and then just stopping each tube at where the braid connects, and then there's the ends that pop out. Because I do a lot of, I'm like doing panels and doing lip syncs in Aether all the time, and boy, that braid gets messy. I'm tired of redoing it.
Choreography.
I'm tired of redoing it. Ugh. So I feel like the tube method with like some mesh could be really smart, actually. So I'm willing to give it a shot. Yes.
How do you put a part in a wig?
Put a part in a wig. Yeah, let's do it right now. Yeah, let's do it right now. So, like, I'm only gonna say it one more time.
It's jealous.
Okay, clearly that's not the place for you. Just
I can't wait for it to fall off immediately this time.
feel like that's more dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't want to put it on the fabric.
Is
Fair
it?
I don't
is
want to
that
set the con on
plastic? Are you putting it
fire.
on plastic?
I don't want to do that. So, okay,
How
so
is
we're,
that day?
huh? So we're gonna do a part in a wig. I'm adding flippy, fitty, fitty. Nice. Nice.
You have to speak its language.
You have to, which is basically incoherent.
It understands.
Yeah, it gets it. It's even
Yes.
better. Okay, so we've got flipness. Sit down there. So, adding a part to a wig. Let's say it's just kind of the nondescript, it's all coming from the top of your head, which is super realistic. But we want a part on it. Let's do like a little bit over one eye kind of a situation. That's kind of a classic. So you can divide your wig. If it's a thick enough wig, you don't necessarily have to rework a lot of stuff and make this part by hand. That can get into really dicey territory. But if you kind of find your spot, grab your steamer, maybe have a comb to help hold this so you're not burning your fingers off. And just start blasting. Heat that bad boy up. And as you're heating this really close to the roots, again, this is just kind of helping the fibers relearn what direction they should stay and want to go in. And you can do this for both sides. Nice and steamy. For these wigs as well, because they have this like crimped texture in the top, you can kind of mess with this in the top on purpose to pull a little bit of this hair out of where it's been like forcibly crimped into the top of the wig if you would like a little bit more hair to work with to cover some of this wefting in the top. It also helps you bring your part a little bit further back on the head. Can help a little bit with the realism. Yeah. I typically like to do a little bit of extra blasting here in the front because there's a lot of tiny little baby hairs that stick out from this part of the wig. Almost. There we go. Great. And now we have a part. And it's gonna be wet for a little bit because we've just steamed the heck out of it. But now that your fibers have relearned kind of a direction to be in, you can go into all of this and add more texture, crimp it, tease it, add spikes, do all the fun things, do all those. Yes.
Okay, so next question. Say you want to do like a ponytail, but it's like a big, thick boy. Yeah, I know. But we can't demonstrate
But
that.
a la Shikamaru?
Yeah. okay,
Yeah,
then
Tsubaki
sure.
from Soul Eater, D-Luke
So,
from Genshin, I don't
How would
know.
we attach that guy to the rest of it?
I'm actually in the process of doing exactly that because I'm making a D-Luke wig at home for when I inevitably end up cosplaying him. So there's a tutorial, there's really good tutorials about this on YouTube that other cosplayers have done, and I'm sort of doing a hybrid of a couple of them just to kind of see what works. Typically the agreed upon method with doing less deconstructing your wig entirely and then rebuilding it from scratch, which is sometimes more effort than we would like to put into a wig. What you can do is, I can't fully do it on this, but to give you an idea, is you keep, it's typically a long wig that you're starting with if you want to like make it into the most realistic like high long ponytail that you can. You have a long wig, you section off kind of the perimeter of hair that's going to stay long, that's going to be the outside of your ponytail. Because the thing with wigs is that there's more hair in there than you could ever need for a long wig, especially like really thick ones like an Arta base or something like that. For doing a ponytail, if you tried to bring all of that into a ponytail holder, it would break. Like, it's not gonna stay by itself without a lot of help. Keep your perimeter of hair. All this hair in the middle, for my D-look wig, I cut it off. Just get rid of it, because you're not gonna need it. You can save that hair for later to do a glued hairline, to glue more hair on top of stuff if you have to like patch any like kind of bald spots somewhere in your wig. You have options. For the inside of your wig, what I did is I took thermoplastic, like Warbla as an example, made sort of like a plus sign and sculpted it around the back of a wig head to basically sit on like the crown of my head as like a plastic helmet core on the inside. You can get a small piece of PVC pipe to attach to that thermoplastic framework that you wear on the inside. You can attach it with more thermoplastic just kind of like hugged around it and then stick it to that cross shape, since thermoplastics will stick to each other when they're heated. You make a tiny little hole in your back of your wig, and you stick that PVC pipe through it, and that basically becomes the base of your samurai ponytail or whatever high pony situation you have going on. And then you start taking all of your hair and you cut it shorter and you glue it down into the shape, all kind of coming to meet at that PVC pipe to basically form the gathered part of the ponytail. You will cut a lot of excess hair off doing this, because you'll basically end up with, ooh, I've gathered all of my hair into this ponytail. Where's the rest of it? And the rest of it's not there, because it just turns into a piece of plastic that's just sticking up out of the back of your head. But then all that extra hair that you have, typically what cosplayers will do is they'll make a base out of something like insulation foam or aluminum foil. Yeah, some kind of like base that is then sculpted to fit over the top of that PVC pipe, and then you start gluing more hair onto that then forms your ponytail. So you can make it permanent that way just to help give it the support of that high ponytail shape, or you can make it deconstructible where that ponytail can be removable for easy transport for conventions, either locally or if you're flying somewhere, I don't know. Yeah, so that's kind of the generally agreed upon consensus of what tutorials I've seen, at least. Yes.
Kind of the opposite of what you're doing right now.
Mhm.
But how do you make the back of your head smooth? Like
Back of your head smooth.
Like, how do you make it like actually fit your head? You know what I mean? And kind of.
I see. So like if make the hair just kind of lay flat, or make the wig almost smaller to fit like a smaller head size?
I suppose both.
Okay.
I don't know. I have never really found a wig that didn't look ugly in the fucking back, no matter what I did with it.
Fair.
So.
No, I get you. My problem that I normally run into is that with like short hairstyles like this, when I cut the layers in the back, kind of like at the nape of the neck, they kind of like stick straight down and they don't follow the head in what feels like a very flattering shape. You kind of lose definition back there. So once again, I feel like I'm beating this into the ground. Steamer! Steamer's my best friend. We're besties now. What I'll typically do is I'll cut the layers beforehand, and I'll shape all of this. Here, let's just go at it. Why not? I saw you move. I swear it's to spite you now. So if we've got some hair in the back, this is all probably making it very hard to see. Go away. Go away. We don't want you here right now. Yeah. Okay. So if you're trying to make like the back of your neck kind of lay flat, this can also be helpful for making wigs of an undercut style. So like I did this for my like Gallo wig from Promare, where he's got all this undercut and he's got this wax Sonic the Hedgehog thing going on top, or any sort of like character with that like really short underneath. You've got fluff on the top, but you want this to be really close to your head, or you just want it to follow the back of your neck a little bit more. This can also work for giving it the same kind of like swoop if you're doing like a little mullet on a wig or something. So I'll typically start by making sure that the layers are plenty short enough, but not so short that when they lay flat over each other, you'll start to see the wefts of the wig underneath, because then you start to create bald spots, and then that's not as cute as it could be. So we'll get a lot of this length off. just to give a little bit of a, I don't know, this weird little lemon chocobo creature we're making here right now. They've got a little undercut, good for them, or they've got some shorter layers, they like to stay cool in the summer. Who knows?
Original OC, do not steal.
Exactly, we've coined this. This is ours now.
Oh God.
Crowdfunded for free. So we make this nice and short so that if you've got like a jacket or literally any shirt ever that sits at the back of your neck and your wig isn't going to get like messed up by sitting here. Keep it nice and short. Take your steamer. My favorite thing in the world. Turn this so that we can see it better. Okay. Grab a little comb just to help you out when not burning yourself. And you can literally take the steamer, just get it right up in there. That's fine. No, there's nothing wrong with it, unless your wig is a very strange specimen from eBay somewhere and it literally is not heat resistant at all, and you stand in the sun and start smelling burning plastic. Would not recommend doing this for that. But we can steam it pretty darn flat, really, really close to the neck. So we can do it that way, where we have something that stays nice and flat, and then you can hit this with the hairdryer, you can dry it, you can hairspray this a little bit in place, make sure it's cooled down, and then this will not budge, it will stay like this. If you want it, if it's a little bit longer and you want to give it like a little personality or something, and you want to like give it a little bit of like a flip in the back, what I'll typically do is I'll use something to hold the bottom of the hair, and then I'll take the steamer and push right above that to keep the base of that close to the neck while still lifting the ends of it to give it that curve. You can also come at it from underneath once you have it held up, just to give it a little bit of something. Yeah, where you start to get a little curl.
Yay.
A little mullet boy, who knows? A little something like that. Get down there. So that's options. If you find that the wig, don't trip me. If you find that the wig is like, just has too much space for your head,
Right.
which has happened to friends of mine a lot. There's a couple things you can do to combat that, where I find that with some wigs, with the way you style it, you can get away with it, where you're not necessarily going to notice if there's extra space back
Right.
here if you style it intentionally. Wig grips are helpful if you haven't tried them before, just to give you a little bit of extra mass around the frame
Yeah.
of your hairline, just to give it something to sit on. I've had friends start to completely deconstruct like the back of the wig a little bit, where on the underside of wigs there's typically this spot where there's loops and those elastic bands with the hooks on them where you can kind of adjust for tightness.
Yeah.
If that alone isn't doing it for you, what some friends that I know have done, where they've like cut chunks out of the back and then
Okay.
brought it
That's
closer.
almost kind of what I was thinking about doing.
Yes, so you could do that technically up the entire back of your wig. I don't see why not. So if you parted your hair out of the way, you maybe salvaged some of those wefts, you could use them for whatever you want, and just cut like a long little like rectangle out of the center back of your wig, bring those back together, and then just whip stitch all of those lines of wefts back together, stitch the back up, and then that just kind of decreases that crown size. So that could also help. Because a lot of times wigs are made with the thing in mind where you're a human being, you might have a ton of luscious locks on your head, and we have to allow space in the wig for you to fit all of them. Which isn't necessarily going to work for everybody. I mean, I feel like half of us queers in this room have like half of our heads shaved anyway, so what is that really going to do for us? So I love a wig grip. I haven't had to ever like adjust the whole size of a wig yet, but I have experienced that kind of like bubble that can happen sometimes. But I find that if I style it a certain way, especially if you add extra wefts for thickness to kind of cover up any like bald spots for wefts that you might see, it tends to help. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I saw hands, yes.
If you were trying to do like an undercut, how would you go about, doing the cutting and the styling for it?
So for an undercut, you would want to find where you want it to start. So maybe it's a completely shaved side, kind of like Gallo from Promare. Maybe it's just kind of like an undercut where it's like halfway around the wig is a lot shorter. So you find where you want that to start for your wiggy. This wig is gonna look so strange when we're done. I love it. Goodbye, flips I just made. You were for science. Okay, take all this, clip it out of your way. So, we've got, let's say, roughly about the lower half of this kind of like back of the head area where we're like, I just kind of want it gone, to be honest. Let's go undercut. So you can do the fun thing where maybe your character has like the two-toned hair, maybe the undercut's a different color than the top of it. You can take 2 wigs of those different colors if you have them laying around or have the disposable income to do so, and hack them in half and then slap them together and sew them together from the inside. You can do that, it's fine. You can dye your wig in one way or another. You can do a dip dye kind of a moment. You can do the method that I've never once gotten to work correctly, where you take like the isopropyl alcohol and then the artist ink and then you do the spray. It's kind of an older method of dyeing wigs and I never got it to work quite right. I don't know, some people made it look so easy. It was never for me, but nevertheless, it's a method. But if you're just kind of going for undercuts' sake, you want to take length off, but again, you don't want to take so much that the weft line underneath starts to become visible. These kind of lines where all of the hair fibers are kind of sewn into, where people can kind of see this. So you can cut this any number of ways. If you've got your normal cutting scissors, you do the saw method, since you're taking shorter layers from the top and then it gets longer from the underneath because you haven't sawn all the way through it. That could be a good cutting method for doing this and kind of getting the job done. Where we just kind of go through and we get rid of a lot of this extra. And for something like this too, if you notice that whatever base wig you're working with, it does feel like no matter what you do, you're gonna see what's happening under here. And you don't want to go through the effort of taking all of these wefts out and then putting something like a felted material in here instead, which is what some people do for undercuts. They'll take like a felt and sew it in instead of hair for it. If you just want to work with what you have, I would recommend maybe taking additional wefts and sewing them in. You can also glue them in. A lot of people lately have been using this, what is it, the Oohoo glue. Oohoo. So it's a little yellow tube or something. It's UHU glue. A lot of people use it for glued hairlines, doing fun like elaborate wig styling, for doing attaching more wefts into your wigs that you don't kill your hand by sewing them all by hand, as I have done too many times and I'm tired of it. So you've got options. If you just want to work with what you have, you can add more wefts if you want. I would typically do the thing where you cut your excess first and then steam it down, because once you steam it down really close to your head, it's kind of hard to pick it up again and then cut excess length off, because it's been trained to be so close to the head at that point. So I find it a little bit easier to work with when it's a little bit more unruly, if that makes sense. So we can take a lot of this off. I'm also using these normal hair cutting scissors because they will do this job a little bit faster than the thinning shears will, just because the thinning shears are so tinted with some of this, which is a benefit in many regards, but for this, not necessarily. Yeah, so you start to take a lot of your length off. You can also do the saw method a little bit side to side if you want. Go in at a diagonal and just cut this way. If you want to take length off, but have it not be quite so blunt, it also helps with that. It's a little bit of a faster way of doing it than doing it from top down. So we get some shorter hair, we start to look at it and go, okay, is that short enough? Do I need to take off more? And at that point, if you wanted to start steaming it down to see kind of where you're at and how it lays, it would be not a bad time to do that. That's not so bad. He's a little bit sloppy because for time's sake, but you can go in with your thinning shears and kind of neaten this up and kind of feather it a little bit just so that it blends a little bit together better when it lays down. So, got this going on. How you doing? Need more water? Let me get you some water, baby. Refill. Technically, for steamers, you should probably be using distilled water because it don't get up as fast. But I don't carry distilled water with me, so we're just using tap water. It's fine.
Just don't tell the people, they don't need to know.
Yeah, it's fine. Just don't tell them. Don't tell them. They don't need to know. What they don't know won't hurt them. Go through all this is heating up. This weird angsty undercut patch this character has now. At the end of this, we're gonna have to come up with a really weird backstory for this person. Who knows what their deal is? I feel like
they're trauma. We'll figure it out.
they've been through something. I don't know.
Her little sister set the house on fire and they had to save the cat.
Wow, going straight for the tragedy.
She didn't say anybody died in the fire. She just said he had to go back in for the cat. He saved it.
That's fair. Yeah, the cat's
That's where his
fine.
hair went.
The hair got
He's just making the best of his situation.
Yeah, listen, as long as the cat's fine, I really don't care what happens to anyone else.
The fire was started because of the crimper.
Oh. Yeah, the crimper deserves to be the villain of this story. Yeah! Screw that guy. We hate him. Yeah, we
steamer
do hate
saved
him.
the
He
day.
burned me before this con. Yeah, be very careful. I have like teeth mark burns on my arm now from this crimper, so work slow and be cautious, please.
And don't do it, sleep the fire. Different.
Yeah, no. Or delirious with a fever, don't do any of that. I've learned my lesson from those things as well.
Or if you're my friend with a concussion.
Oh, or that. Wow.
It's a minor one. They're mostly fine.
Famous last words.
We've been making sure they don't do anything stupid this weekend.
Okay, good. As long as the effort's being made, I guess. So I'll typically go in with like a fine-tooth comb just to kind of help control all of this as I go in with the steamer. And we're aiming for as close to the head as possible to really smooth this down. Great. Okay. So you end up with something a little bit like this. So this can work as your undercut if you would like. And you can go through and really finesse this where if you wanted to like really commit to like, oh, it's the shape of like your hairline. Take your hair cutting scissors and go at it where like, oh, the hairline typically goes up at like this angle. Sure, go in, let's make it an angle. That's fine. Give it that illusion of being a little bit shorter than it actually even is. So you can start to like just clean up the edge of it and start to give like, oh, it's just my shaved head. Don't look too close. It's fine. And so at least from a distance, especially if this
Look away.
Okay. So at this point, I'm just holding this now, I guess.
The tale of the cursed crimpers.
Curse of the crimper. So at this point, especially if you've got some hair on top that's still down, and you don't see that harsh line of where you've kind of pulled this undercut from, you don't notice it that much. You can smooth this down even further if you wanted to use something like glue and take like a clear drying glue. I would recommend something like a silicone brush, because then it's not going to gunk up your bristles and ruin your brush. And so you can go through, smooth this down with some glue into shape, hit it with a very low setting blow dryer, maybe on that cool air setting, just to kind of help set it in place so that it kind of anchors all the hair together and gives it that kind of hardened, closer to the head shell-like appearance. And then that would really help with kind of that illusion of an undercut, if that helps.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, we might have time for like one-ish more thing. Yes, you back here.
Do you know how to make like a hair poof like a Dora has?
Ooh, like big like hair poof, like
Yeah, like
Pompadour.
Pompadour.
Pompadour. Okay, yeah. Sit down. Stop moving. Don't make me do something crazy. Okay. So we could do this kind of like this also works for something like a 90s anime bangs kind of a
Yeah.
situation. Like you're cosplaying from Ranma 1/2 and your bangs are like, ugh. They're crazy. So for something like that, teasing I think is going to be your absolute best friend for something like this. So let's say we've got our kind of like side swoopy bangs here. Also, for pinning your wigs to your mannequin heads, you can use whatever pins you want. T-pins are a pretty popular one. I found these that look like buttons. They're very cute. I think they're for quilting or something. But I like pins that I can see and that I can feel, because I'll typically pin on the top of the head and then 2 on the sides for where it sits in front of the ears. And I like to be able to run my hands over it and feel where the pin is so that I can work around it and not worry about anything happening. So for something like this, what you can do if you are at all worried about getting like your crimper under here, maybe you don't have a crimper, that's fine. You can do this without a crimper, that's not a problem. If you go in with this, heat it up with your hair dryer. While it's still hot, go in it with your back combing. I do find that this works a little bit better if you go as hot as like a flat iron kind of a situation, so I do like to use things like crimpers, or a straight iron also works. Run it over the hair, make it nice and hot, and then start hitting it with your back comb. You can also do the thing where you go at it in sections, leave it looking awful for a little while, and then just keep going down the section. Tease it a little more.
See, crimper, this is what happens when you don't listen. We use the hair dryer.
Yeah, exactly. So you can go at it using that. You can use your crimping iron once it heats up again and stops misbehaving. Once it's teased and you want to make sure that that shape is kind of set, heat it up again. What's to say you can't? Great. And you're basically adding volume on the inside is what we're doing. Kind of like how we shaped our spike before. We're adding volume on the inside so that it has something to so that it has something to shape around. My goodness. Okay. Can you stop? I'm turning you off. I don't want you anymore. Terrible. So once you have your tees kind of in place, you can start to brush it out. Get a little bit more volume going on. And you can go really, really hard with this. You can tease in rounds, where you tease it once, you brush it out and go, nice. Could be messier though. Go at it again, that's fine. Can't stop, won't stop. You keep going until you have all the volume you want in the world and more. So we've got some floofage happening. Our top layer here is still pretty smooth, so you don't even really see the teasing that's happened. Keep it. Why is this giving Link right now?
Breath of the Wild is why.
I'm not mad at it. I'm just wondering.
Breath of the Wild.
It is absolutely giving Breath of the Wild.
I was giving Link from the very beginning.
Everything's got 3 months.
Wow, good for
It's a
him.
little
I
bit
can't believe I'm going to
unhinged.
cosplay Link after this. That's not a promise. It's just a thought.
I was gonna say, it doesn't look bad, I kinda like it.
It's really not bad, to be honest. I'm not mad at it whatsoever.
You have a Zelda?
And the great thing about Breath of the Wild Link is he has so many outfits.
He has so many outfits. I love the outfits so much. I would probably want to do, I don't know what they're called anymore. It's been a while since I played. The like barbarian looking one. I feel like I would do that one. That one's pretty cool. So, once we have some volume here, if you want to give it like even more of some incentive to remember a little bit of an uppy shape, you can grab your steamer. Hold it in place, just give it a little bit of heat. A little bit of zhuzh, a little from underneath. Convince it to stay a little bit higher. Refresh our little spike back here because we can. And so you can smooth this out a little bit with your fine-tooth comb. This is kind of the low-key version of adding volume. You could go even harder than this if you wanted, just by repeating a lot of steps. But like I said before, my hair dryer is my preferred tool for kind of the final move when it comes to setting a spike or setting like some bangs in place. This is what I want you all to have in your toolkits. This is the OG and it will forever remain so powerful. We love some got to be in this house.
These 2 bottles of it,
As there should be. Same with mine actually. 2 bottles.
made it through the airport.
Hey, nice. I don't know how you did that. So if you want to set something in place, let's say you've sculpted your bangs or you've sculpted your spike. Oh, he's got these cute little pieces. That's cute. We can leave those. I would recommend for Got to Be for something like this, far away. Got to Be likes to spit in like these little blobs sometimes because it's just glue in a can, basically. So give some distance if you don't want clumps. Give yourself a fine mist. This is why I typically tend to wait to hairspray until like way late when I'm like done basically with everything because it will get everywhere and it's really hard to get it to stay focused in a certain area. I'll typically use my hand as like a shield. You will end up washing your hands often, very often. Once it's got some hairspray in it, take your blow dryer, smooth it out a little bit. You can set it. Give that a chance to cool off. In the meantime, if you want to set your spike, what I'll typically do just to get it started is you can do a kind of a general spritz with hairspray. To really define it, take hairspray, put it on a couple of your fingers, and just work it into the tip of this. And you can give it a little twist if you want that really defined shape. Give it a little under, a little on top. You can take a comb, very gently kind of smooth out a couple flyaways if you're worried about it. And then take your hairdryer. Yeah. And then you have a Spike. He's not going anywhere. He's good. He behaves himself. We've got bangs that have a little foof-foof. We have some undercut that you could smooth down with some more glue if we want. We've got some fluffy little layers if we want. We've made some cuts that aren't too blunt. We came, we saw, we conquered. That's your Wig Stylist starter pack. I'm gonna tidy up my mess that I've created, hopefully with minimal collateral damage. They no thanks to you, Cripper. And if people have additional questions or want to know more about certain tools that I have, just to make room for any events that might be happening afterwards, I'm gonna move us all out there, but I'll spend some time out here if people want to stay and chit chat for a bit. Sound good? Gorgeous. And I have business cards if people would like any or are interested.